where were you the day the Twin Towers fell?
Mom was here teaching, and I had walked up to the library to ask Miss McGlasson, who was our librarian at the time, something, and she had the TV on behind the checkout table, and often did, with the news playing, and I was up there in time to see the second plane hit the towers. So I saw it live as they were watching the smoke billow out of first tower. I saw the plane hit the second tower.
And how has all of this really impacted you as a person?
Well, I have 2 sons, and one, the oldest one, decided to join the military because of 9/11. He heard a fireman and a police officer both speak about 9/11, and he just felt like he needed to do something.
Yeah.
My younger son is a Marine, and he was one of the last out of Afghanistan. And in all intents and purposes, it's a miracle he came home.
So it's definitely had a big impact on you.
It has definitely had a big impact on me.
I was actually at home in my kitchen.
Yeah. And what was your reaction?
I was extremely sad and disappointed that there was such hatred in the world, that somebody or people could hate other people so much that they could harm people like that. And I mean, of course, I don't know if we knew exactly what was going on at the time, but it was fear. I was fearful. So I had small children or young children at the time, so I was frightened and very scared.
And how has all of this impacted you over the years?
I believe I still sometimes have some fear and don't trust people like I probably did before. But I've tried to realize that that's not everybody. Not everybody is hateful like that, and not everybody has hatred in their heart. So it's taken me a few years, but I've tried to kind of realize that that is not everybody's heart and intentions. And so I've tried to open myself back up to people again.
I was working here at Richland County High School. It was East Richland High School at the time. And I was at the par 3 golf course out sitting on one of the benches, and the kids were playing golf, playing the course that day. And I can remember we're off campus in the bus, driving back here, and then that shut down, leaving campus the rest of the day. It was a strange situation, strange time. I just remember how quiet it was, no planes in the air. I mean, it just seemed strangely quiet.
And how has that all impacted you as a person?
Well, I mean, obviously it's changed a lot of things over the last 20 some odd years in our country. I'm not a big traveler by air, but I know it's changed a lot of things at the airport for friends of mine that travel. I think at the time it rallied everybody probably to be a little bit more patriotic, and sometimes I'm not sure that we've kept that up enough, but
so you
it was horrible.
People are really more forgetting to be patriotic on just a day as significant as this.
Yeah, it's a very significant day. As everybody says, it's kind of the modern generation's Pearl Harbor from World War II. You have an attack, and I think we just wanted to try to react and find out who did it, and I just remember it being, there were a lot of unanswered questions at the time, and it's led us down this path in history from that day forward.
I was in 6th grade at the middle school here in Olney in Mr. Zuber's class, and I remember someone ran in and told us that it was happening, or told him that it was happening, and we used to have TVs that were up in the corner of the room mounted to the wall, and he turned it on and he told us that this was a important historical moment and to pay attention, so we all sat there and watched.
And how has that really impacted you?
After that, I would say when I was younger, that 6th grade time frame, it didn't impact me directly until I got into high school. And then we started seeing the military recruiters and things of that nature coming to try to get people to join. And a lot of my friends went on to join. So then later in life, I saw all them going and doing what they did. So that made me want to join the military. So really, that day did impact me, my influence to join the military.
So 23 years ago, I had moved to Carbondale. Very recently to that, I was working at Denny's. I was just kind of like getting settled in there. I wasn't enrolled in any classes, so I got up that morning, and actually one of my roommates, Nathan West, knocked on my room door and it's like, you got to see this. You got to get up and look at the news. And I went in and saw I believe it was when the second tower had been hit. I was in college, so I was sleeping in late. And it was just obvious at that point something big was happening. And he's like, you're going to want to see this. So, and I did. And then we just sat there, just mouth agape, and just watched the news coverage all day and tried to kind of make sense of what it was. And it was, it was intense. It's crazy that it's been 23 years, but it was like everybody knew, like, this is something. Obviously we knew it was horrible and that people were dying and that there's going to be this massive disaster, but behind that I think everybody knew something has changed, not necessarily like, well, obviously for the worse. We just knew there's going to be a reaction. Everybody could feel it, like, this isn't just this is going to be so much more. And obviously in many complicated ways it was.
And how has all of this affected you as a person over the years?
Well, it's hard to answer that just in isolation, just that day. Because it was just that, and then everything went back to normal. It would still be a horrible memory, and it would still have shocked me and, made me question, like, just general safety and why would someone do this. But it's just hard. I can't take it in isolation, because all the things that happened after that, politically, in many big ways, presidential elections, political campaigns, rhetoric, all that just changed so sharply at that point that at the sum total of where we are now, yes, I can definitely see effects from that still. And I think that, unfortunately, in a short term, people like to say right after it happened that, well, everybody got together and it was we're all America now and lots of flags everywhere. But in reality, that really felt like a point where a lot of people really split and became, where that middle ground got lost, where people really went one way or the other with stuff. And it just seems like political rhetoric has heated up since then so much that I would say that's my looking back, I feel like a lot of the worst things about politics and about the inability of Americans to find middle ground and really meet each other. A lot of it didn't start that day, but that was the beginning of the super hyper, like, adding fuel to that fire to make it to where we are now.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. I also want to ask you, watching this right now, if you were alive that day, and if you remember, comment down below and say where you were on that day and how it has affected you, because we want to know.